It's been an interesting week. So I'm really enjoying being a part of the Entrepreneur Hotline, and I love that we are here and providing making space for entrepreneurs, and that there's this thing available. It completely changed my life in 2015, and I am ridiculously excited to be here creating this space again for someone like me who needs it just as much as I did in 2015. So, with that being said, this is a reminder that there is a really cool website that shows the schedule. It introduces you to our speakers that are happening all this week. We have a really great lineup for today. We have a really great lineup for tomorrow. And we've put a lot of work into curating a speaker list and trying to include people that will help you make a dent in what you are trying to work towards and do. And I'm trying to copy a link and it's not working because I'm trying to do two things at once. So yeah, that is what I'm trying to do right now. So hold on one second while I get my things together. I keep hitting Control Z. If you don't know what Control Z is, it's like this life-saving thing. It undoes things. So if you are on a what's what I'm looking for? If you're on a PC and you hit Control Z, it'll actually undo whatever you just did. And if you, I think if you're on an Apple, it's Command something. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look that up. So if you're a PC, it's Control Z. That's like the undo, and it undoes like pretty much anywhere, which is pretty amazing. So I've used it in a ton of different places. I've used it in Canva and Adobe and Word and video editing and all sorts of things that like I completely have jacked something up, and then Control Z comes along and changes my life. So yeah, if you didn't know about Control Z, now you do. So I threw the link for the website there. There it is. Haha. And that'll take you to the Entrepreneur Hotline website where the schedule is, where the speakers are listed, and what else can you do there? Oh, you can register there, which means when you register, you are saying yes to being on the email list, as we do when we give our name and email. And the other thing that you are saying yes to is when replays get sent out, you will get an email for the replay for the different talks you're interested in. And then in addition, any speakers, like exclusive things that the speakers are offering, their freebies and books and that sort of thing, those giveaways and whatnot, you have to be registered in order to get those. So yeah, we have had a really, really jam-packed morning already, because we are starting in, we're playing off of Greenwich Mean Time, so programming starts really early in the morning, my time. I'm in Eastern time. And so by the time I come on, even though I've been awake for a lot of it, I haven't gotten to see it. So if you haven't had a chance, there will be replays throughout the day of the content that the speakers we had on this morning, as well as a few things from the last couple days. We are at our midway point. We're at our midway point for the Entrepreneur Hotline. So we go through the rest of today. Today is Wednesday, November 20th in Eastern time. And then we'll go through tomorrow through the 21st. And then on the 22nd, we will finish, at 6 p.m. Central European time. Yes. 6 p.m. Central European time on November 22nd is when we're going to wrap this Entrepreneur Hotline up. So if you haven't taken advantage of the fact that we are here, please do that. the website will still be up, even though we are not live. We have been mostly live 24/7 since 8 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time on November 18th. So yeah, we have a really cool schedule ready for like going for you today. But yeah, so I'm going to close out this particular segment and let it reset. And then I will be back to chat with you about legacy and the things that I have been working on in my entrepreneurial journey. And I cannot wait to share storytelling with you and all of those things. Hello, this is Gail again. I'm back. I'm ready. I hope you are too. So, for this particular segment, we are going to be chatting about the legacy recorder. And the legacy recorder is my entrepreneurial venture. And it's something I have been plugging away at and working on since November 2015, when I actually met my co host Lori on something called Blab, which is no longer around, so don't go look for it. But it's something that I have really dedicated myself to, and I'm very passionate about sharing with people. And so I'm really excited to be sharing it with you today. And I thought it would be, there's a couple of reasons why it's relevant. I believe storytelling is always relevant, and it doesn't matter what stage of life you're in. It doesn't, excuse me, it doesn't matter what what your ability is, if you like writing, if you don't like writing. It really, the storytelling is always relevant. It can always be used, and it can be used in business. It can be used in your personal life. It can be something that you use with your kids, with your family, with your loved ones. And especially as thinking about this as we're coming into the holiday season, of when you're sitting with your family and your friends and you're sitting around the dinner table and you're trying to figure out what the heck to say, this is where legacy comes in. So let's see, hold on. This is what happens when you are the back end and the front end. Okay, I just wanted to get that at least shared onto my page. So legacy. So legacy and storytelling and creating intentional conversations with the people you love and care for and serve potentially, if you are working in a care facility, if you work in hospice, pretty much any instance where you are in an industry or in a position where you are working and caring for others, storytelling and intentional conversations are relevant. And in my opinion, they should be happening. Because when we are engaging with each other, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having surface conversations. There's absolutely nothing wrong with sharing about how your day was, asking how someone is. Those conversations are valid and important. When we take the time to go deeper than that, to dig in a little bit more, to really take the time to be present with the person across from us and have a conversation that they can feel the intent of and feel that you're present with them, that is when the real magic happens. So when someone feels truly, truly, truly heard, it changes how that person feels about you. And it takes that know, like, and trust factor and just like exponentially changes the game. So if you are, I'm going to spend a lot of time like switching like point of view back and forth. Um, so from the business point of view, when you are listening to your customer when your customer is telling you a problem, or if you are trying to explain something to a customer, um, pretty much any conversation. If the person feels heard and that you understood what they were trying to say, it's going to completely change how they interact with you. It'll I have found that when I'm really intentional with my conversations and with my interactions, that people tend to respond faster. They want to continue engaging with me because they feel good when they talk to me. And and I say that with no bragging. I love that people feel like they can talk to me about anything. Um, they I I usually don't have to get very far into the explanation of what legacy is, and within a few minutes or less, I'm engaging with someone and hearing their grief story. I'm hearing about how their loved one is losing their memories. I'm hearing about things that have happened with their kids, with their nieces, their nephews, or their friends. And it's really incredible how quickly that happens. And most of the time, these are people I don't know. And and the desire and the need that we have as humans in that human experience to really be heard and be seen at our core level, even if we're private people, we still there is I feel like for most people, and maybe not for you, and if it's not you, that's okay, but for most people there is that feeling of someone wanting someone to see us and to hear us. And legacy helps you do that. Legacy helps you see people and hear people in a way that is easy, easy. That is, I walk you through how to implement this. So it isn't about a quick fix. It's not a magical answer. I've come up with some processes that are pretty magical in helping you do this in a really intentional way. Um, so I just wanted to share some pieces about why this is important, how you could use it. And then we're going to do a we're going to do a walkthrough of what the website resource looks like, and what the legacy world looks like. So I hope you will join me on that journey. All right. So this is my website, and I've been working on it for it's had a couple of different iterations, and one of the ways that I have created a resource in my website is that it's completely searchable. So I think there's 100 now. There's 100 blog posts that I've written over the past, I guess, 4 years now. And they're all completely searchable. So if you type in, let's say, storytelling, this will pull everything that is tagged with storytelling. And there's lots of it. So there's 14 pages of storytelling options. So every blog post is written in such a way that there is at least one thing that will that you can use and walk away with and implement. I came up with something called 5-minute storytelling, and 5-minute storytelling are usually pre-written scripts, but the idea is having if you only have 5 minutes with the person in front of you, how can you create an intentional storytelling conversation with that person in 5 minutes or less? I've also called these medicine minutes, because my original application in my head was the idea of if a nurse or an aide or someone is handing medicine to someone in the morning or whatever, and they really only have 5 minutes every day to check in with that patient, with that resident, what could that conversation look like beyond, you know, how they're feeling, how they slept, what their bowel movements were like, if they ate or if they were going to eat. So how can we make these conversations, if you only have those 5 minutes, what can they look like? What can those conversations look like? And so these 5-minute storytelling scripts actually give you a concrete thing to follow that will walk you through what questions to ask. If they answer yes or no, then the follow-up question. And then in many cases, there's another question after that to give you the words in order to be able to have a conversation with someone that wouldn't otherwise happen. Things that have happened because these conversations are happening is that the storyteller, the person you're asking the questions to, the storyteller finds a renewed sense of self. They will open up more to the next person. They will be more talkative about things that are important to them. For the staff member or the interviewer, the person who's asking the questions, I also call them facilitators. They tend to find more joy in their space and in their work and in their daily experiences with the storytellers they're working with. And it really gives everyone an opportunity to reconnect with each other and have really meaningful conversations. The other thing that I know that it does is it actually can help inform care plans. So if you have a storyteller who is a patient or a resident, and you're asking very specific questions in regards to travel or what makes them smile or their favorite food or games they like to play. Often when we have these intentional conversations inspired by this 5-minute storytelling, the answers that come out of them are ones that maybe wouldn't otherwise come up, or it's not something that person has shared before. So that's why these conversations and these scripts are really important. So the script itself, excuse me, on the website is actually, it's a totally free thing. So the button on the website says ready for the first solution. And when you click it, it takes you to a really simple landing page. And you can opt in to get 6 pre-written scripts to use and share. And in each email you get with each script, it tells you exactly how to use it, what to expect, and then what to do next if you're not sure. So the link for that is there. You can find that in the comments. So what would be next? Okay, 5 minutes story time. So other things to know about the website as a resource is that this bot right here is pretty amazing, if I do say so myself. So it'll walk you through, it'll give you some options about legacy. It'll tell you about intergenerational storytelling, and you can basically choose your own adventure in the legacy bot. So that's pretty cool. It's there. What else do we have? Okay, other things to know. I do separate out a little bit about who I work with just because the resources are slightly different. So for families and individuals, these are the resources for you. There's a couple of free resources. There's a couple paid resources. There's a book. And then if you are interested in looking at full-fledged large projects, we can talk about those too. Those options are there as well. And then from our senior care facility side, this is also applicable to hospice, pretty much anyone that is in the pursuit of caring for others. Messenger bubble. It's separated into professional development, which is geared towards individuals, and then facility implementation. So those are products and services supporting a patient-centered care mission at a facility level. So again, free options, books, all the things in between. and an example of what it could look like for your facility. And yeah, so that's that side of things. Close that out, close that out. Click all the buttons. Okay. So then we get the book. So the book is its own resource, all on its own. You can buy a physical book. If you click buy the book, you're buying it from me. If you buy the physical book on Amazon, most of the time you're buying it from me. But I know that I have reached the status. I have reached the author status of my book is being resold as a used book on Amazon, and I figured that out a couple months ago. I figured out that that was happening, and my first instinct, my first response to it was like, "Oh, really, really?" But here's what it actually means: when your book is relisted on Amazon as a used book, it means that someone found enough value in it that A, they probably read it, and B, they want to pass it on to someone else, which I think is really amazing. Other options are that they thought about reading the book, they didn't read the book, but they also thought it was too valuable to throw away, and that they thought someone else might enjoy reading it and they wanted to share it with someone. So I'm totally excited, because it could have just have easily have ended up in in the garbage. So yeah, and I mean I worked really hard on this. The story to know about the cover is that the picture is actually of my grandmothers. So this is my paternal grandmother, and this is my maternal grandmother. And then the baby is actually my oldest human, who is almost 14. And the picture, the reason the picture is important, and this is part of legacy, is that my paternal grandmother is in the States. She's originally, she was from Northern Ireland, and she's in the States because my dad is dying. And she's come over because the doctors have said that, if anyone wants to come say goodbye, they need to come now. And that's the reason she's here. It's one of, I'm pretty sure it was the only time my two grandmothers were in the same place in my entire life. I know my dad's mother was here for my baptism, but she was only ever in the States twice in her life. And yeah, so she's gone now. She died a year after my father died. And then my maternal grandmother is still here, but that's the importance of the photo. And that's the story of the photo. So one of the thought processes and theories that I had for legacy is that if we start with a tangible thing, we can start with a recipe card, a recipe that you have, start with a photo that you have, or start with a specific memory, and then following a series of 7 to 9 questions that you are able to write a story with a tangible item. So I give more of an example of that in some of the other things. So let's see. So then going through the website, scrolling, there's me holding my book. I was very excited. So my dear friend, Trista Scholes Pappas, actually took this photo for me. And I was doing a book signing in Hallmark, and yeah. And then the wonderful Wendy White, this is her experience with sharing the Legacy Recorder book. And look, there's the picture. So there's a blown up version of the picture, and I would encourage you to go read the story on the website if you have a moment. So here's where we get into some of the legacy world aspects. I do have a certified legacy recorder process that's available. This will walk you through the legacy storytelling method, which is the 7 to 9 questions I mentioned. And then there is the specifics for legacy for activities staff. And then this talks about this will take you to where the 5-minute storytelling is. There's a longer article here explaining it and how to use it. And then, so legacy is actually, I'm on YouTube. I technically have 2 YouTube channels, but the legacy YouTube channel is a fantastical place to binge watch everything you could ever want to know about storytelling, writing, and grief and dying, and just all the things. And then a little bit about myself, and then the blog. So the biggest takeaway to come back, bring it back around, the biggest takeaway from the website is the ability to search. I highly recommend using the search option. I've tagged it and created a database so that can be something you can use. And it's totally free to search it like a database. Legacy is also on Pinterest. The Pinterest boards are also like a database. I don't know that it's as searchable, but you can go through and pretty much find whatever you need. Yeah, so that's Pinterest. And what else have we got? So I want to think about. Ooh, so so the other thing that legacy helps people do is have potentially really hard conversations. So this going into what inspired legacy, some of it had to do with the fact that my father passed away when I was, how old was I? I was technically 18. So he passed away 7 days after my 18th birthday, which was 7 weeks. He passed away 7 weeks after my oldest human was born. So a lot of things happened all at once. And I didn't really have a chance to talk about it for a long time, because I was raising babies and doing all of these things and, basically surviving, and graduating college and, trying to live life and just kind of make it. And then 4 years ago, I started on this journey to create the legacy recorder as you see it today. And it's really has been my grief journey. It's been my grief process. And it's how I have worked through the things that I couldn't work through when I was a teenager, essentially, or a young adult. And it's been my way of having really hard conversations with myself, and forgiveness, and letting go of the fact that, I couldn't deal with these things when I was 17, 18, 19, and whatnot. And that's okay. So when it's when you're thinking about grief and death and dying in your own life, unfortunately, it's something that we're all going to experience at one time or another. And it's not a if, it's a when, and that it's going to be okay, and that you're not alone. There's really incredible resources for really any stage of your grief journey. And I enjoy being listed as one of them, but I am one of many, 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 many. And a lot of people who find me, who I talk to, their response usually is, I really wish I had known about you 10 years ago, or when so-and-so was alive, or, last year. And my response to them usually is that, it's never that it's never that it's too far past, or it wasn't soon enough, or a timing thing. It's all a process. So I feel like usually when people tell me that, they've dealt with whatever they need to deal with, or they're not ready yet. And I don't ever push anyone into having these really, really hard conversations, because that's just not the way to do it. It's all about readiness and wanting to share and being ready to have these conversations with yourself. With that being said, I'm not a therapist. I'm not in that realm. I have my own experience and what I've done to help myself, and that's what I have poured into the Legacy Recorder, is being able to have hard conversations with people I love and being able to ask them questions and extract their stories in such a way that leaves them feeling light and restores their human dignity and restores hope in whatever situation they are in. So, that is Legacy, and I sincerely appreciate you watching this video and staying with me, and I encourage you to use the website, use it as a resource, often for the 5-minute storytelling scripts, and share your story, and ask someone you love to share their story with you. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching the video, and I will be back in a few moments. Hello, this is Gail, the Legacy Lady, again. So let's see. What do I want to talk about? I know this. Hold on. Oh my gosh, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so the next part of this is talking about focusing on the kids. So figuring out how to get people talking in your life in situations that are potentially socially awkward. I don't really want to be here. Think family dinners, the annoying holiday parties that you're, at some point going to have to go to. Okay, because that's just what happens when we get to this time of year. So we're going to do a little show and tell again. So let's see. Hang on. Sharing screen. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Some singing. Okay. So we have this thing I created called Legacy Hunt. And it's totally designed for your small humans. And it walks them through a fun, engaging storytelling conversation to help them engage with their grandmother, their aunt, their uncle, whoever is at the family dinner, basically. So instead of your small humans or the small humans you love at the family gathering, because you're the cool aunt or you're the cool uncle or you're the grandparent that's like, oh my gosh, I love my grandkids, but they're a little crazy when we get to 8-9 o'clock. And the parents want to hang out, and we want to facilitate, and at the holidays we want to have people being able to stay and be together, and Legacy Hunt can help you do that. And it's not just for kids. So it's geared towards kids. The questions are fun. I wanted to target or have not target. Oh my gosh, that was such a bad word. But focus on kids 6 to 12 and what kind of questions would they want to ask. Spoiler alert, I totally asked my kids. So my kids had input on which questions we included. One of them has to do with if you had a nickname as a kid. And then the follow-up questions. So this is beginning reporting, beginning interviewing skills of so what was your favorite nickname? And then follow-up questions were, how did you get that nickname? Who gave it to you? Was it funny? Do you like it now? Do you still use it? And it walks them through a little bit of that, which is, totally fun and exciting. At least I think it's fun and exciting. I'm sure someone out there thinks I'm crazy, but that's okay. So moving on, before I completely derail myself, let's see. I wanted to grab the link because, that's what we do. Where did it go? Interesting. Okay. What I thought I have, I don't have, which is totally grand. It's all good. Um, okay. So I'm just gonna do this crazy long email or long link. Good luck looking at that link. Have fun with that. um, and yeah, so that'll take you to this page, and it'll tell you there's a cute little video. I tell you about the legacy hunt and what to expect. But that is legacy hunt, so it's fun, engaging questions that kids can use or other humans can use to start engaging storytelling conversations at anywhere, basically. It is set up like a scavenger hunt. There's a worksheet included, and then there's also parental unit instructions or guardian instructions. So it is a whole package. Other things I wanted to share are how to start conversations at family dinners. So in this article, I go through fun conversation starters that no one expects. A few of them are, what's your favorite joke? Jokes are a big thing around my house. Or a really big, we like riddles and knock-knock jokes and really terrible dad jokes. So if you are into jokes, I think it's fun to ask people what their favorite joke is. And then the follow-up questions are why and who told it to you. The embarrassing nickname question, and then a question that I love asking people, absolutely love asking people, is what do you want to be when you grow up? And it doesn't matter how old they are. So I love asking this question to people of all ages because it totally freaks people out and they have to think and they're not expecting it. And it's so much easier to answer the how are you question. But when Gail pops up and she goes, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? They sort of sit there and have to go, oh, wait, did I grow up already? I'm not sure. Oh, wait, I want to do this. So then follow-up questions for that are, did you always want to be that? And who inspired you to choose it? So I think those kinds of conversations are really cool. Starting with, from a methodology standpoint, starting with a question that is potentially easy for them to answer, maybe a yes/no question, but definitely something they can answer in like 1 to 2 words. And then the follow-up questions, you usually want to try for questions that are going to encourage them to answer in full sentences and really not challenge, but let the person know that you are being intentional about what you're asking and that it really matters to you what their response is. So, once you get through those, there's other follow-up questions you can ask. So other follow-up questions to ask to those are, how did that make you feel? How do you feel about that moment now? And did you change anything in your life because of that moment? Those are what I like to call the digging deeper questions. And if you when you buy the book, not if, when you buy the book, and read the book, you'll understand why those are so important. It's also in the digital course that's available. So then I go on to tell you about, now that you have them talking, what do you do now? And I give you all sorts of information about what to do now. And the last piece that I wanted to share is an article I wrote a little while ago on 10 ways to up your storytelling game. So this is a fun list of things that I um fun, fun things to fun ways to up your storytelling game. Sorry, I completely got sidetracked. Um, okay, so 10 ways to up your storytelling game. Spoiler alert, read more. Not complicated, but we become better storytellers, better writers, and better readers when we read more. And that's just that simple. Research before you tell. So my suggestion is that um, before you actually jump in and start using something, is doing research. And before you start telling a story, do some research. And knowing a little bit about a person before you go talk to them can help you build rapport. It shows them that you care. It shows them that you've spent time learning about them before you even talk to them. And that is a wonderful way to do that. And I go on to tell you what to do more about that. Oh boy, hold on. This is what happens when you live stream. And okay, research before you tell is where we were. Let's see. Listen to other storytellers. That is a little bit like number one, but is important because it gives you a different perspective. So it's kind of what we do when we go to events, when we go to talks. We're listening to other people and how they're doing things, and then and hearing different perspectives of the same event, the same moment in time. And that can help you tell a better story and tell a more, I like to use the word robust, but robust and deeper, dynamic. It just adds more dimensions to it. So multi-dimensional stories rather than one perspective. And in my experience and in my opinion, that gives you an opportunity to create a better storytelling experience for the person you're interviewing, and also for the person who will ultimately read, listen to, or consume the stories you create. Improv. Oh my goodness, improv. So improv is one of those things. The improv is one of those things that never go away. So it's a huge part of storytelling, and it gives you a chance to just bounce things off with other people. If you do group improv, it's a really great way. I'll have to round up a resource list of wonderful groups and people that are doing epic things with improv. I know that I feel like I'm hearing a lot more about improv and using that in your storytelling and in your business and how you work with clients and stuff. And I think it's a great way to help you engage with your family, and it gives you a chance to if you treat a conversation with a family member that maybe we all there's always someone that's hard to talk to. All right, it's just the way it is in our family. And sometimes we can use improv to help us either get through that conversation, start the conversation, or have the conversation in a way where the person feels loved and cared for while you still get to keep your boundaries. I think improv is a great way to be able to do that. So revisit old material. The old material isn't necessarily that you have lots of things written down. Okay, first and foremost. This could be scrapbooks. This could be scrapbooks your mom made, your grandmother made, your wedding album, the baby book you started but never finished. Hi. And those are prime sources to start creating a multidimensional storytelling experience. Other things that can be included are love letters, cards from your parents, like when you were at summer camp, and recipes. And those are all sources. And it can help you remember things you didn't remember before and potentially have a new perspective. I had to include Pinterest because Pinterest just has, really great resources. So in addition to the legacy recorder boards on Pinterest, there's tons of information just on writing and storytelling and character development. And with character development, the reason I use that phrase is that the people in our lives and the people that we include in our stories, and that our storytellers include in their stories, I refer to them as characters in the worksheets and fill in the blanks. I made fill in the blank narratives. If I didn't tell you that, it's pretty amazing. Think Mad Libs, but for your story. So they're totally fun. You can only get access to those if you buy the book and say yes to getting a few emails from me. So, so Pinterest, using that to up your storytelling game. Dialogue. So, dialogue is one of those things that for many writers, just, writers in general, it's really hard to write dialogue. It's people forget to include it in their books, in their fiction books, and I think it is a neat way to, um, again, add another dimension to your storytelling, is including the dialogue. You can absolutely paraphrase and say, oh, well, so and so, this is kind of a remember they said. But if you had, like, not that you needed to have everything exact, but writing the story in such a way that there's some dialogue in there is a really cool way to break things up. And I give some suggestions on what that could look like for you. The next way to up your storytelling game is to write more. Spoiler alert. It's like practice, just like if we're learning an instrument, if we are learning to cook, writing more will help you be a better storyteller practicing your craft. Knowing yourself, getting to know yourself, how you write, how you like to work, is going to completely change your storytelling game. If you're not sure what kind of writer you are yet, you just got to jump in. I would definitely suggest reading this article and getting a jump start. Sharing your story, sharing your own story is a great way to up your storytelling game, because every time you tell your story, every time you share a piece of yourself, usually we remember something different. We remember a different perspective. We remember an emotion that we didn't acknowledge before. And I believe that it helps us process things in a way that we couldn't necessarily before, because when we have distance from events and things, that can change how we interact with those things. So that is 10 ways to up your storytelling game. I found all of these articles by searching for the word dinner on my website. So if you are if you're not sure how to start a conversation, you're not sure about a specific thing, there's chances are I've probably written about it. You can type music and a whole bunch of stuff will come up. You can type travel, and I've written articles on how to write about that. So those are, that's the thing. That's it. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day, and I will see you again soon.